One of the most important calculations for a house flipper is a property's after repair value, or ARV. Being able to calculate a property's value once it's fixed up is crucial to your success as a flipper. Unfortunately, too many flippers either do it wrong or they don't take the time to learn this valuable skill and they rely on real estate agents to do it for them. I think that's a big mistake because no one cares about the success of your deal as much as you do. The purpose of today's video is to teach you how to become a pro at running comps and calculating the ARV for free without needing a real estate agent. Get ready to learn the 3 rules to follow when doing ARV, 5 tips and mistakes to avoid, and the 4-step process for mastering the process of determining ARV on any deal. Coming up. Hi, it's Jerry Norton, the nation's leading expert on flipping houses, even if that is self-proclaimed. As a house flipper, once you've generated a motivated seller lead, the next step is determine the maximum allowable offer, or MAO. In other words, what is the highest price that you can pay to get the contract and make it a profitable deal? Well, the nice thing about flipping real estate is there is a formula that will calculate your MAO. This buy formula starts with determining the after repair value, or ARV, of the property. The ARV is the projected value of the home on the open market once it's fixed up. ARV is determined by looking at relevant comparable homes in the area. The question to ask is, what have homes in the area recently sold for that are similar in features? Now, this can be arbitrary since no 2 homes are exactly the same, but there are some guidelines to follow that will give us the most accurate ARV possible. So let's review the 3 rules to follow, 5 tips and mistakes to avoid, and the 4-step process for mastering ARV without using a real estate agent. But first, if we've never met, I'm Jerry Norton, and this channel is dedicated to helping you make more money right now in real estate, not later in 10 or 20 years or even 3 to 5 years, but right now so that you can achieve true financial freedom and live your dream life. Consider subscribing to my channel and click the bell icon to get notified when new videos are released. Rule number 1 when determining ARV is to only use comps that are similar in features. When I say features, I'm referring to things like the style of the home, such as a ranch or a 2-story, square footage, size of the lot, bedrooms and bathrooms, garage or no garage. For example, let's look at this subject property here. This is 827 square foot ranch with no garage that has 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. Well, this comp is nearby, but it's not similar in features. It's more like twice the size. It's 1,728 square feet. It has a 2-story, not a ranch. It has 4 bedrooms and 2.5 baths, while the subject property only has 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. Now, that was an extreme example, but you get the point. On the other hand, this one would be a comp similar in features. It's a ranch with similar size, bedrooms and baths, etc. Now, a simple way to make sure that you're using comps that are similar in features is to use filters to exclude comps that are not similar. The most common filters are square footage and bedrooms. I usually will use a filter that is within 500 square foot of the subject property. Now stay tuned and I'll show you how to do that online for free without needing a real estate agent. Here's the big takeaway from rule number 1. Always choose the most relevant comps first. If there are 10 comps, the ones that are most similar in features to the subject property are the best and most accurate comps to use. Rule number 2 when calculating the ARV is to use recently sold comparables. It's okay to look at current actives for sale to get an idea of competition and to see how many homes are on the market, but actives don't tell us the true value of what the market will actually pay because they haven't sold yet. Sold comps give the actual hard facts about what the market will pay for a home. Always choose the most relevant comps first, and the most recently sold comps are the best and most accurate comps to use. For example, a comp that sold yesterday is better than a comp that sold 6 months ago, and a comp that sold 6 months ago is better than a comp that sold a year ago. When looking at comps online, add a filter for a date range. Start with 90 days to see if you can find enough relevant sold comps. If not, expand your search to 120 days and continue expanding until you find enough relevant comps. Rule number 3 is to choose comps that are close in proximity. This is really important and where a lot of flippers screw up. Real estate values are location specific. Ideally, you want to use only comps that are in the same neighborhood. Think about a buyer. They know the difference from neighborhood to neighborhood, and values change from neighborhood to neighborhood. Just because you found a comp nearby doesn't mean it's relevant if it's in a different neighborhood. Remember, always choose the most relevant comps first. Comps that are closest to the subject property are the best and most accurate comps to use. For example, a comp that sold next door is more accurate than a comp that sold a quarter of a mile away, and a comp that sold a quarter of a mile away is more accurate than a comp that sold a half a mile away. When looking at proximity, start with 3 to 5 streets closest to your subject property and slowly expand out until you find enough supporting comps. Okay, so now that you know the 3 rules to determining ARV, let me share with you 5 tips to master ARV. Tip number 1 is to get at least 5 to 6 relevant comps that are similar in features, close in proximity, and recently sold. If you can get more, even better. Tip number 2, be completely objective or unbiased. I'll say it again. Always choose the most relevant comps. You can handpick whatever comps you want to justify a higher ARV, but you're only kidding yourself. This is a common mistake with flippers. Don't force a higher ARV by ignoring more relevant comps because you want the deal to work. Tip number 3 is no comps are the same as bad comps. A common question I get is, I can't find any comps. How do I determine the ARV? The answer is you don't. Without similar comps that have recently sold nearby, you're guessing on the ARV, and flipping houses is not gambling. Tip number 4 is to exclude distressed comps. The point of ARV is after repair value, so use comps that are depictive of nice fixed up homes. In other words, a distressed house that sold to a cash buyer is not a relevant comp for calculating ARV. Tip number 5 is to not speculate. This is another dangerous mistake many flippers make. Speculating ARV is when you project a higher ARV based on future appreciation. For example, the current ARV based on relevant comps is $250,000, but the projected appreciation over the next 6 months is $25,000 higher, so the speculative ARV is $275,000. This is how a lot of investors get into trouble when the market corrects. Maybe it will appreciate, maybe it won't, so always calculate based on sold data, not projected appreciation. Now let's quickly walk through the 4-step process of calculating ARV. Step 1 is to use Redfin if it's in your area, because I think it's the best. Otherwise, you can do the same with Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, and other public sites. Look up the address of the subject property, then change the filters to look at sold homes. Choose 5 to 6 of the most relevant comps following the rules and tips that I previously explained. Let me take a minute and just show you how to do this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll all the way down to the very bottom, and it shows you here, based on that zip code, a little neighborhood here with a map. Now when we click on that, what it does is it automatically outlines what it's calling that neighborhood. Now what I'm going to do here is we're going to go on here and click more filters. I don't want to look at 3 bedrooms because a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom is a huge difference. So you can see here, if I put in the max amount of bedrooms 2, then it's not going to show me anything more than 2. And look what it did. It got rid of a bunch of those and it only gave me a couple. Click house. Important here, I'm going to click sold, and then I'm going to put this right now. I'm going to start at 3 months and see what it does. The other filter I could do is the square footage. So right here I could put, maximum 1,000, because our subject property is 800 and some square feet. Houses, 2-bedroom. That's enough filters for me to then take a look at what's going on. So then I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and here we go. I've got this cluster of comps right here, and my house is right in here. So you can see here, I'm only a couple streets away to find some of these comps. So now I would go through, this is an 800 square foot 2-bedroom. I'd go through and I'd look through and I would decide what I feel like are relevant comps. But you can see here, I did this right on Redfin. Step 2 is to convert all of your relevant comps to price per square foot. This gives you an apples to apples comparison. This is done by dividing the sold price by the square footage. So for example, if a comp sold for $285,000, that was 1,800 square feet, then the price per square foot is $158 a foot. All you do is divide sold price by the square footage. Step 3 is to calculate the average price per square foot of your comps. This is done by adding up all of the price per square foot comps, then dividing by the number of comps. That will give you your average. So let's say that the average is $131 a foot. That means on average, homes similar to your subject property are selling for $131 a foot. Using the average is a safe figure to use. you're not using the highest or the lowest. Step 4 is to multiply the average price per square foot by the square footage of the subject property to get your ARV for the subject property. So for example, if the average sold price per square foot of your 6 relevant comps is $183 a foot and the square footage of your subject property is 2,100 square feet, then the ARV is $384,300. Now, if you want to get really good at this, check out my playlist where I do complete ARV analysis on real deals. And I put a link in the description so you can watch that. Determining ARV is not something that can easily be done automatically because there's a human element to choosing the relevant comps and excluding the irrelevant comps. The key to successfully determining ARV is being able to organize and manage all of the information. The best tool for doing this is my Deal Analyzer software. It tracks your properties and it saves all of the deals you're working on. It has a custom calculator for running the numbers, and it helps you be more accurate, more organized, and more streamlined. To learn more about how to get this, click the link in the description. Now, if you learned something on this video, show some love, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm dedicated to helping you make more money in less time flipping houses so that you can live your dream life. And remember, it's not about the money, it's about having the time and freedom to have, be, do, and give everything you want in life. That's what it's all about, and I'll see you on the next video.